so much. I love you so much. I love you so much. I love you so much.
Hello, all you positive heads. Welcome to a very special episode dedicated to none other than you, the PeaHeads themselves. I am your PeaHead enthusiast and hostess for the day, Alexa Hauser. I have been blessed to have the experience of helping out with Positive Head social media for the better part of a year. And through my digital interactions, I began to realize, as did Brandon, that we have some incredible beings listening to this show who are taking the information that Brandon puts out through the podcast and using it to transform their lives and create wonderful things. You listeners are all a huge, huge part of the life force that propels this show forward through time and space, and we think it's time to bring forth some of you beautiful reflections and delve a little deeper into this collection of energy that is the Positive Head community. So as we shine the spotlight on our listeners, what we'll have them do is share their stories of how they attracted Positive Head into their life, the transformation it's facilitated for them, and what they're focused on creating now that they're in a more positive headspace. Also, this episode of the Positive Head podcast is being brought to you thanks to the support of Gaia. If you're not familiar, Gaia is the go-to source for streaming consciousness content online. And you can sign up for your first month for only 99 cents at gaia.com/positivehead. That's spelled GAIA.com/positivehead. Check it out. Hello, all you positive heads. On this week's PeaHead Posse episode, our guest is Chelsea Schultz. Chelsea helps visionary empaths build their six-figure soul purpose business so that they can heal the world with their intuitive and creative passions. Hi, Chelsea. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
Oh my gosh, I'm so happy too. We connected. I'm trying to remember how we connected, but we were just talking a bit offline. I commented on something that you wrote, something that was like resonating so deeply with me. And then you commented back on my comment on your post and gave me you were like, yes, Alexa, and I'm tuning in. I don't know how you said it, but you essentially tuned in for me and gave me just a direct reading right there in a little comment that had touched on something that that I hadn't. It touched on me acting and performing in a certain way, which I haven't really addressed that issue since I was younger. But when I was younger, that's exactly what I wanted to do. And anyway, so you just relayed that right back to me, and I was like, wow, okay. And so thank you for that, first of all. And I'm very excited to talk to you because it looks like you're doing some big things and you're really a mover and a shaker. So very excited to have this conversation with you.
Yeah, I'm so glad. And like I was telling you before we got on, that it resonated with you because working for 3 years before I've been doing what I do now, as a psychic, as in traditional psychic shops, as a reader, as an energy healer, and also teaching people how to use their psychic skills. As we discussed, what you are is all within you. And that's a very nebulous way to say that your physical body, it contains every bit of information you'll ever need for your entire life. And like you said, if you notice, we foreshadow things when we're in our pure states of being, when we're children. There's actually really good indicators of our soul's mission here and who we came to be. So the best that I can do, being an empath and being able to feel information from people, is to really reflect it back. So it's exciting that we got to connect and that this was the point of connection. So.
Absolutely. I love all that. I love everything you just said. I feel that very deeply. And, do you mind, sharing a little bit more about that, about your past and about your story and, what your life was like, what your life has been like up until now, what led you to where you are now?
Absolutely. So like I said, I really understand that we foreshadow our lives and that those things that we feel super magnetized by and drawn to when we're kids. I was checking out ghost story books when I was 6 years old. I was also checking out books on how to have your own business. And so when I finally had what I would consider my pre-spiritual awakening was 9 years old, and all of a sudden all these emotions flooded me and I felt so anxious. I developed this habit of pulling my hair out when I was younger because I had all this anxiety at that time. And then when I was 12, on September 11th, 2001, when the towers came down, I got my first period and I saw a man that was darker than the dark standing in my doorway. So everything really blasted wide open that day for me. And I'm not really sure, like the chicken or the egg, what triggered it. Was it my body changing? Was it also all the trauma that we were experiencing as a country that day? Just kind of like a very dramatic entrance into very vividly seeing and experiencing people who had passed away, auras, angels, all sorts of things in, these other dimensions or realms, I guess you would say. So there's been a lot of, content in my life sitting in high school and watching people that no one else could see walk through walls. I had a crazy experience just trying to figure out if I was schizophrenic, first of all, if I was crazy. And when I started giving messages to people based on the information I was getting, and they would validate, oh my gosh, that's my grandma. Oh my gosh, that is happening in my life. How did you know that I feel that physical pain in my knee? Things like that. I started to finally get into a place where I knew what I was picking up on all these different truths that maybe other people couldn't see even in themselves or in the world around them. So when I work with people in whatever capacity, I always work with highly sensitive people because when you have that experience, maybe you come in and you're also a creative person, which that gets poo-pooed in society. Maybe you come in and you're also super conscious and aware and you do feel the emotions of other people, and emotions are super taboo in society still. You add the spiritual element and being able to experience different dimensions on top of it, and you literally feel like you are so alone and you are the only person on this planet. And because when you sit in a room full of people and nobody else is seeing what you're seeing or hearing what you're hearing, it can be just so isolating. So one of the things that I think is the most important about being on this planet at this time is that telling people, even that are listening right now, you are not the only one. There are actually millions of us. And it took me a long time to figure that out and to feel confident about my gifts. The one biggest point of confidence to even see them as gifts and not as this detrimental thing making me so unrelatable to every other human I was around was to know that there were 3 people in my local area, and then there were 1,000 people on this Facebook group, and then there were 80,000 people in this conference or something that I'm wanting to go to that are all like us. So that's my big roundabout way of saying my story, but also I think part of my purpose here is to get people talking. Conversation creates togetherness, and that's the most important thing that's happening on the planet right now.
I love that. Conversation creates togetherness. That's true. And it's interesting too, because, sometimes conversation can be, I think people shy away from conversations when people have opposing opinions, right? But it's still another way of coming together in a way, right?
I think so, because I think that it's important for you to come together first with the people who have similar perceptions and experiences of you. So it builds your confidence so that when you are with other people who don't share your same experience or perspective in life, then you don't feel triggered by them having a different experience. It doesn't essentially trigger you on a subconscious level to feel invalid, right? Mm-hmm. So I think that that's what's important, because even in terms of highly conscious and sensitive people, if you're not having conversations with people who experience the same thing as you, and you feel like such a minority, this planet is not going to change to a more peaceful, loving, together place. And that's what empaths are here to do.
Yeah. I love that. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Because we have to come to like a way of it's practice for, I mean, I know like myself, just in the past year, I've made so many strides in the more, it's exactly like you said, it's the more I've found my tribe, right? And like my people that are all like me. As I mentioned, I have another podcast. I mean, beyond this tribe, which is incredible. I love this tribe. And the other podcast that I host, Inner Bloom, it's actually like partly from this tribe, but it's even more specific to me, right? Like the more I spend time with those people and talk to those people, the less I need other people to agree with me. And the more that I've found I've been able to go out and have those conversations and have people have other opinions. And I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. Like, great, that's your opinion. Whereas before, when I didn't have this community, it felt like, no, like you need to listen.
Yeah.
You know, it felt so much harder to allow them to have their opinion, right? And I don't think I actually realized that until we just vocalized it right now. So thank you for helping me come to that realization. That's interesting.
Yeah, no, that's exactly it. And like you said, you can be a living testament to that, and so can I, that it was really hard for me to be me, which was highly spiritually perceptive, really intuitive, super creative, and always wanting to find the connections between like even like things that were unrelated, like this music artist and this visual artist, like how could they work together and where was their overlap? But I think that the biggest problem on the planet with every single human being is that they are either in resistance to themselves and those specific things that they love to explore or experience, and that's their issue, or they just don't have an outlet to really enjoy those things with other people who enjoy the same thing. So if we remove your fear and tension feeling invalid in who you are, because you can be with other people like you, and then, like you said, that creates the allowance to let everybody else be where they need to be too with the people that get them, then we could all really coexist in a nice way and probably work better together, right?
Totally, 100%. Yeah, it really gives more credit to the idea of, you know, if you, you know, what you resist persists, right? And what you allow, you move through, and also that really all anyone needs is love and acceptance, you know? And like as an EFT practitioner, that's a huge thing that comes up quite a bit, is like when I'm tapping with clients, they have an issue they're tapping on and they want that, typically it's an issue that they've been dealing with for a while. So they just want it to go away. And so it's almost like sometimes they think they're like trying to hate it out of themselves or like bang it out of themselves or aggressively push it away. And I always have to remind them and myself, to be quite honest, we're not trying to fix the problem. We're just trying to accept what's here. Like that's it. And the magic that happens with acceptance is like mind blowing, because usually when you bring acceptance to what's there, then the problem is fixed. But it's, you know what I mean? It's like if you try to go about it by solving the problem, then you're not accepting and then nothing gets fixed. So it just goes back to, you know, human dynamics and the relationships we have with each other and the way we're trying to fix other people and be like, no, you're wrong. Like you need to be this way and then you'll be fixed. And that just creates more problem. But if we can bring love and acceptance to ourselves and others, it really creates a connection and an opportunity to be together, you know?
Exactly. And togetherness does look exactly like that, like really allowing other people to tote guns and, you know, do all their crazy stuff, and, you know, including the Trump supporters, including all the people that trigger me too. Being able to face those triggers in other people and say, yeah, what's going on internally that's really a problem for me here. Or if I think so much that is an issue, what am I doing in the opposite direction to be a living example and allow other people, you know, and maybe even those people that I'm having a hard time with, to see an example of something else. that's the best thing that you can do on this planet is accept who you are, and don't just go as far as mentally and emotionally like, oh yeah, I'm good with myself, or like trying to force changing your mindset, like you said. That's all BS. You need to take action in this lifetime. That's why you have a physical, movable body that has limitations of eating, sleeping, affection, needing certain things. Is you need to be the living, breathing example. You need to be out there talking it, like walking it, letting everybody see, the most vulnerable, intense, awesome, I don't want to share this with people because it made me a target when I was younger stuff. And the more you have community support, the more you feel like, all right, I'm letting my freak flag fly, and the other people around me have similar flags, so I can do this, as opposed to I'm out in the middle of, maybe like a Trump rally, being myself. Context is just as important. So finding the right context and community for yourself is the starting point of internal acceptance, and then taking that acceptance into action.
Love that. And agreed. Like, that's something, it's crazy. It's just dawning on me more and more what you're saying about, like, we're here in these physical bodies to take action. Like, we're here in these physical bodies. I have this phrase I like to say, which is just we're here to be the crystal, right? Like, to shine our light, like to fill ourselves up as much as possible and just then emanate that, not to like go and, try to physically like make others do what we want them to do, but like to be the light for others that we want to show, like you're saying, just be the example. And yeah, I really resonate with everything you're saying. And I think it's such a important thing to understand as we move forward, because, as we're moving forward, it's kind of like, I don't know if you're seeing this, but it's almost like, the more people don't kind of come to this way of understanding, it's almost like the more aggressive people are getting. I live right next to Chinatown in Philadelphia, and I was walking back from a spin class. This was like a couple weeks ago. And I was like really in just like a bliss zone. Right. And I'm just walking and enjoying. And then I walk by, and there's this, Asian woman. She's sitting on the street, and she had laid out, I think, like bracelets, and she was selling them. And there was another woman she was a white woman. I mean, I'm just describing that. I don't know if, well, no, it does have something to do with it because there was a language barrier. So I guess like the white woman had said like that she wanted to buy something, but then she decided that she didn't want to buy it anymore. And the Asian woman didn't speak very good English at all. So she started to tell her like, I want to give this back. And the Asian woman was just kind of looking at her, and the other woman was like, I want to give this back. And it kind of like, first it was just kind of quiet, and then it just started, and I could feel it was like, there is no communication happening here, and the tension is getting greater and greater. And it was like, I was walking by them, and I just heard it go 1 decibel louder every step I took. It was like each time one of them started speaking, it was like louder and louder and louder and louder until it was just like pure screaming. And I was like, and I was just thinking, I was like, this is what's happening in, some places. We're not hearing each other. Like we're not hearing each other, and we're just pushing harder and harder. And that's just kind of more painful for everyone involved. So I feel like it's very important as we are all going forward to kind of understand those dynamics, right?
It really is, because you aren't feeling heard because you're not putting yourself right in the right context in a lot of places. Should you go somewhere without knowing, the language necessarily? And even in your example, it might be just kind of a weird thing, because when we're in different cultures, it might be hard to have that language barrier, but even that as a metaphor for bigger things. Like if I go to Costa Rica recently, and I realize, oh my gosh, I'm in this country where I don't speak the language, and that is really going to hurt me in lots of ways, because I don't know the customs. I don't know how to even express like the actual words that I want to be saying to communicate what I feel. And I am so out of context here outside of this one festival that I'm, participating in, that I'm putting myself in an unsafe position. And that's really what happens, is that a lot of times, whether it's conscious or unconscious, we're putting ourselves in unsafety with our body, where we're going to be out of context. We're not going to be properly prepared. And it's okay to learn as you go, but you have to get super intelligent about what your context is in this life, like relationships, your business, what you want to do in terms of friendships and everything. Like, I know, and this is what I help people do, is I help people know all the specifics of who they are and what the system they come with as a soul means in a physical and, tangible sense, because that's when they put themselves in context. They stop trying to help people that they can't actually help because they haven't lived that experience they're trying to help with. They actually get into groups and friendships and relationships with people who complement them, and also have enough similarities that they can understand them. Like, if you don't have those safety mechanisms and support in your life, all throughout in every area, you're going to feel misunderstood. You're going to be triggered by everybody who's different than you. And yes, we're going to persist, like you said, in this state of resistance of the fact that, like, if I don't feel good about my existence and I'm not creating safety in every decision I'm making for myself with my consciousness, I'm not going to like someone coming at me that has a whole different perspective or idea,
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah, because in a way, it's just a reflection of you. It's just a reflection of your, you being out of alignment with you, like you not having acceptance for yourself. So how can you have acceptance for anyone else in that scenario, or like their differences?
Exactly. So, even in the work that I do with people, it's like I make people make their ideal schedule so that when they're working in a week, if they don't like getting up early in the morning, guess what? For the rest of your life, you're not getting up early in the morning. I don't care that you went to school and that was the thing that you had to do. I don't care. You have to make it. I don't care if you need to work at midnight and you're like, I don't know who's going to work with me at midnight. Who am I going to serve that's going to be up? I guarantee you, it's probably someone in a different time zone. Like, what we have to do and what we have to start teaching people is to reverse engineer what they already come with. Just basically come into acceptance with that and find out all the ways that needs to get structured into their daily life in a super tangible way. So even something as simple as like telling someone they don't have to get up at 7, they can actually just start work at 3 p.m. That changes everything. It changes how they feel about their day. It changes their level of acceptance for themselves. It brings them safety in that one simple little thing. And I'm in the area of tangible. I don't like bypassing the physical body, because it's been the greatest point of coming out of 20 years of dealing with suicide, that finally accepting what my physical body needed, which is this feeling of safety in every part of me, relationships, my routine every day, and what my life actually looks like on a daily basis, and then acting through those things for myself. So, I would prompt people that are listening, like, what is it that, is really hard for you to ask for? Start asking for that stuff, because it's what you really want. Like in relationships, if you know that you need and you like to talk to people, and talking might be your love language, if you guys know your love language, don't be in relationships with people that don't talk to you. I had to deal with this recently. I had to really, no matter how much you like something or you want to help someone, or something is shiny and attractive to you, if it doesn't make you feel safe in the ways that you need to, because you're checking in with you, like that very specific thing for me, it's that I need to talk to people. That's how I work stuff out. That's how I ground myself. That's how I feel connected. So I don't need as much physical touch. I need to be on the phone with people or whatever. Someone recently I really liked, totally incapable of corresponding with me on a daily basis, even via text. And I was like, sorry, I can't, because I have to create that safety with myself. And that's what I would prompt, everybody listening to do as a sensitive person. It will give you your power. It's exactly where you're losing a lot of your energy, is working a job that you hate, or, working 40 hours a week. No sensitive person is designed for that. So.
You are speaking my language 100%. This is like, and you just gave me kind of this visual of how, and it's like, and why do we, attract these people into our lives, or these situations into our lives that really drain us, right? It's because, like you said, we're not asking for the thing that we really want, because some part of us feels like either we can't have it, or we shouldn't have it, or it's too scary to have it. And therefore we're not getting what we need. So we are not, we are not fueled in the way, or energized in the way we need to be. Yep. And therefore we attract other people that are this, contribute to that. Right. So it's just, I don't know. I love having this conversation with you, because you're helping me see all these things that, like, I know of, but in a different way. Like, I'm getting all these mental pictures, and it's very interesting. So Chelsea, why don't we actually, because you're already kind of going into it, and I want to talk about, like, I want to hear from you. So what is it now that you're doing? I mean, we heard in the intro a little bit, which is, really intriguing, but how would you describe, like, how you're working with people and what your mission is with them, and just what you're working on now?
Yeah. So my mission is really to help all the highly conscious, highly sensitive people on the planet come out of hiding, get integrated into their physical bodies and the existing systems that we hate, like money and the power structure and government and the media, and start to take those roles over so that this place can change massively. So one of the biggest blocks that I see with the people that I work with is money. And that system absolutely needs to change. You are not going to change it by resisting it, or by functioning on the baseline belief that most of the people that I have come to me is that either I can do what I love and it feels like firewalking because it's haphazard, I don't have any business skills, I don't know how to really make this sustainable, and to not feel icky, like I'm a pusher or a salesperson or whatever. Mm-hmm. And then I get the other side of the spectrum too, where people are like, or I can make money doing all the things that defy my natural sensitivity, like working 40 hours a week, like working in a company that I don't agree with their values, by pushing my physical body to the limit and overdoing it on overeating, overworking, all this other stuff. So I really help people stop doing all the things that they don't want to be doing, so they can really answer to that self-sustainable system that they have and that they came with, which is some of us on the planet only need to be working 3 hours a week or 3 hours a month in the public eye. Some people need more space and time to themselves. But I want people that are highly sensitive to have a voice and to really be these participating members of society, so that the whole societal structure changes.
I love that. And I completely agree with that. Like I recently have kind of come to this realization about, the way that the work structure, the work week is set up, right? And it's like, wait, this is insane. Like my partner comes home sometimes and he's just absolutely exhausted, like absolutely drained. And like, I always joke because, like he works like a 40 to 50 hour work week. And like he comes home and, it's like he's really, really tired. And I'll be like, let's go to bed. And he'll be like, no, let's stay out here in the living room for just a little longer. I'm like, why? You're so tired. He's like, just a little bit longer. I'm like, but why? And finally I realize it's like, because he just wants to feel like he has time to himself before he goes to bed. He doesn't want to, even though he's tired, he doesn't want to feel like he's waking up and then going to sleep and not having a life, and that his life belongs to work. And so he'd rather make himself tired just by zoning out, right? And just feeling like he has his own time than, by feeling like he doesn't have that. And I'm like, this is crazy. Like, this is wild. Like, and I know that he's not alone in that. I've talked to several other people who, can relate and do the same thing. And it makes sense. And so I 100% agree, like the work structure and the way we value our time and the way that we can leverage our time and the way that we can make money, like really, and the way, and you know, there are different ways to make money. And I think that a lot of us have been so, and I'm curious your opinion on this, you know, a lot of us have kind of been so, I don't want to say brainwashed, but, you know, educated in a certain way to believe that, you know, these are the ways you must make money. You have to submit, you have to fall in line, you have to play by these certain rules. Otherwise, you're going to die or something. You know, you're going to die a starving artist, or you're going to, you know, you're going to fail. Right. And it's like there are other models out there and are other opportunities to make unlimited amounts of money and, you know, kind of be your own boss. And it's like, I feel like a lot of people are just a little too scared to break out of that, you know, routine or the thing that we've been told is like what we're supposed to do. So what's your perspective on that?
Yeah, I'm going to tell you straight up that if there is a drain, if you feel drained, you're working against yourself. That's not supposed to happen. No one's supposed to feel drained. You come with a complete system that if you were to answer to every single need that you have, like instead of working 7 hours a day, you do find a way to make your situation that you work 3 hours a day, and then you get to like actually go at your own pace and everything else. Those lifestyle changes are where, you know, you're a complete system. You shouldn't feel drained, even though, especially in American culture, it's like you're working hard and you're normal if you're burned out all the time by everything. And yeah, these are just stories that people are telling you. And what I love to remind people is that you are a people too. So you're a person that came here to create your own story. And especially if you're highly conscious and you're highly sensitive, if you're listening to this podcast, let's be real, right? That you actually have better ideas about how things should work for you and other people here. And if you want to get out of your own prison that you made for yourself, which is the hardest part about making a different choice, is losing love and social acceptability. It starts really, really early in childhood conditioning that, you know, we come into these physical bodies and our physical bodies are fear. It's animalistic that, you know, survival is a thing in this realm that we live in the 3D realm. So you come into this consciousness in this body that your body is telling you, like, I would like to survive as long as possible here. You go through the first few years of your life and you are 100% dependent on the people who are bringing you up. So your brain isn't fully formed yet until you're 8 years old to even understand the difference between I am bad and I'm doing something bad. So you just think I am bad if you're misaligned. So what happens is that you come in with this perfect programming, and then your caretakers and society starts to imprint, and it's kind of like an innocent thing. And maybe for some of you guys, it doesn't feel so innocent because you've been through abuse or you've been through other things. So I wouldn't say that's innocent, but in a way of they're only human and they are doing exactly what they know. It is essential for you as a physical being without even a developed brain to align with the beliefs of the people who are physically taking care of you. So that's what happens is early in life, you start to get away from your awesome, unique, cool program that you came in with, and you start to align with the need, you know, from a survival standpoint of whoever's taking care of you, whoever is actually going to feed you, clothe you, give you the love that you need. We're a communal species. You need love just as much as you need food. You need someone to touch you just as much as you need food. I'm talking about love in that physical sense of someone acknowledging your existence and like touching you and like hearing you, you know? Mm-hmm. So when we go through all that first part of life, our jobs as adults is to deprogram all of the stuff and to realize, hey, that thing that I'm doing is kind of like that example I saw my mom and the fear that she had, or that thing I'm doing is, you know, the thing I don't want to say about all the spiritual experiences I have like 4 years ago, 5 years ago, I never would have talked about my awakening to anybody. I was sitting in a bar, managing a bar where if I ever said that out loud, I would get laughed at. And that's one of the scariest things to me. So again, about context, but you need to realize that your unique experiences that you've had growing up and what you really want is what you have to create in your life now. Otherwise, you're going to be imprisoned in these draining systems that don't work for you. And that is the problem, on the planet, is that how many people, probably billions of people, are out of context right now, and they're working against their natural programming just because of the imprint that they got growing up, and they're not challenging their the fear that they have that they're not going to belong somewhere, because they probably won't belong with the people who raised them or the friends that they used to have if they do side with themselves.
Totally. Yeah, that was beautifully said, first of all. And definitely, I think you're hitting on right there why, the fear of, it's almost like it's so much more comfortable in a way to know that you're with everyone, even if everyone is asleep, right? Even if everyone is kind of doing something that nobody really loves, it feels more comfortable to know that you're still going to be with everyone versus potentially be on your own or be in a new environment. And I think that's the biggest challenge that we face as humans is to actually welcome change and welcome new and welcome different, right?
Exactly. And
yeah, go ahead.
That's why I feel like it's really important for people to have this resource, like this podcast, to have a leader that they can be like, wow, that is me, that highly spiritual, really emotional, cares about humanity person that's in a powerful position. So it's powerful to be all these things that other people in maybe my environment reject. I think that's why for me, I'm training people to come into those positions. I'm really training the leaders, the future leaders of the world, because it's important that if you can't get that example in your physical environment, we have this awesome, amazing resource that is the internet, where you can see it and you can have it come through your phone on a daily basis. So people need to start showing up. So many of the people that do have different ideas about life, because they come programmed that way, like work less, love people more, be able to provide for everyone around you and be super generous, they're all in hiding still. So
definitely. Yeah, very well said. I love talking about this because it's really, I feel like it's the next kind of, how do you call it? I mean, it's kind of where all the transformation feels like it's just ripe to happen, like,
yes.
Yeah, it feels like, and I keep getting this image of like one day, I mean, I don't think anything will ever be like a mass exodus or a mass awakening, like meaning like that every single person is like, oh, it's obviously everything constantly happens in waves. And, that's like part of the process. But I do see the work and the purpose and that area of life coming very much to the forefront in the next, several years, because that's where all, like you're talking about, that's where all of our energy is invested. And it's based on, like you're saying, the survival, right? And that's why we're doing it. And it's like, I feel like the more that we, the light workers, right, are able to shift, ourselves, number one, we allow ourselves to have more capacity for light and energy and, higher guidance and wisdom. And we are, the more tapped in we allow ourselves to be, the more energy we allow ourselves to cultivate, the better we're able to assist everyone else, and the better we're able to be the example, as you were talking about earlier, to be the light, to be the crystal, right? So it's, I'm really looking forward to kind of seeing how this all plays out. And I feel like what you're doing is very, very important. Like it's just very important. It's very important to have someone that's able to help you, hold your hand through making this sort of transition when, and especially like you're talking about for highly sensitive people, because I think we're also the ones that are so, in my experience, I've been noticing that it's like, we're usually the ones that we give the most, right? We give the most of ourselves and we receive the least because we care so much and we think, oh, I just want to help everyone else. And we always forget about ourselves and then we find ourselves depleted, et cetera, et cetera. And it's this really kind of like pattern that doesn't serve, right? So I think what you're doing is extremely important. And I think everyone listening needs to evaluate for themselves, like how they can really, level up in this area because we're the ones, right? Like we are the ones who are going to be the way showers for everyone else. We are the ones. So
yep, and we are the ones that, most people on the planet that we have tension with or that we're trying to gain acceptance from, they're stuck in appetite, which is their physicality, that animalistic part of you that's like sex driven and needs to eat and, on the base level, like needs to survive. And the other thing that they have is emotions, and they're mostly reactive in their emotions. So they're kind of toggling between this, we call it in the chakras, like the lower chakras, right? All of us come in with the opposite problem. We're like used to being a big blob of togetherness and oneness. Sorry, it's not togetherness, it's oneness. We're used to being connected to every single possible thing because we don't have the limitations of body. A lot of us remember, even if we've been in bodies before, we've had multiple lives here on Earth, we remember the consciousness of what it's like to be like in 11D, which is where pain doesn't exist and death isn't real and everything is seamless. Even in the angelic realm, when I go there in meditation, there is no ability to lie because you're like a big blob of color with everybody else. And it's like a cancer that everybody can feel as soon as you come out of integrity. So we don't have that here. We live in a very different realm. And so we're very mental and spiritual in our understanding coming in here as, and then we're trying to do the human thing and figure out, like, what the heck is having an individual body? Like, these are the subconscious questions that you've been asking yourself for probably most of your life. And so what we struggle with is what most people on the planet have on lock, but are limited in, and we're limited in this other area of information that if they had the perspective that we have, that oneness is a place that exists and it's not here, but we can make togetherness happen. If people have the exposure, that are in those two more baser states of being to our ideas, and we have exposure to accepting the fact that these physical bodies have limits, and we need money, we need to sleep, we need to eat, we need to be touched. We have emotions; they are an indicator of boundaries crossed or things happening in life that are really trying to tell us something. Then we can really integrate here. It's about, everybody talks about ascension. I'm all about descension. Come into this physical body, into your emotions, into your physical limitations, because no person in their right mind would say, don't pay me for that, except for shame being in the way of being in their physical body and having physical needs. Like no actual person would be like, no, don't support me in sustaining this physical body because, only they're going to be in kind of unacceptance of that if they don't like being in the physical body and they're in resistance to it. You feel me?
Girl, preach. I feel you. I wanted to stand up and say, yes, for sure. That is a very, very good point. I love the way you put that. That is so interesting. Absolutely. And I love how you're talking about descension, because that's so true. We're all trying to get up and out. That's what it feels like. I mean, I know when I first started kind of coming awake, I was just trying to get out of my body. I was I just want to go somewhere else. I don't want to be here. And now it's exactly as you said, descension is a perfect term. I'm learning. I'm like, oh, wait, I want to be here as much as possible. I want to be as present as possible. That's what feels the best to me when I'm fully alive in my body, when my body's not only, functioning properly, when I'm fully here with my body, mind, and soul, Because as you said in the beginning, it's like, that's why we are here. We're not here to go somewhere else. We're here to be alive in the physical, like surviving in this reality, like, physically breathing and living and walking and talking and actually being able to touch things and create things and hold other people and interact with other people. And so, I think that is an amazing, amazing point. Descension. I really like that. Yeah.
Yeah. And no, you're totally right in that what acceptance of your physical body looks like and what really living a fulfilling life looks like for highly sensitive and conscious people is coming into your human need for affection, for a schedule that feels like really supportive of who you are and doesn't rush you. That's one of the biggest triggers for highly sensitive people is this world is in such a rush and it doesn't help anybody. It's not helping anybody to try to go faster or to do more, do less well. That's probably how you're built. That's why you're not supposed to be working 40 hours a week, or it feels unnatural to you. So come into all of these specific things in your daily life, these tangible activities. I always bring people back to the tangible, even in terms of manifestation when I work with people. It's not about, $50,000 sounds good. It's like, add up all the expenses you have in your current life and then go and research all of the really cool things that you'd love to add into your life that make you feel inspired. So maybe it's like a flight to England, or maybe it is, extra awesome phone plan so you can talk to your mom for 2 hours like I did yesterday. Add up these particular things that are tangibly the things that cost money that will inspire you. Going to Whole Foods and dropping $400 on groceries and not thinking about it, right? Not having to look at those price tags on anything you're doing. Figure out the tangible amounts, add up your current expenses, and build a plan to start adding in all of the things that you want that inspire you. Because why should you not feel inspired every day, especially if you want other people to feel inspired and you wish that for, your best friend or someone that you love. And really look at tangibly, great, I only have so much space and time in a day. I have to sleep, I have to eat, I have to do these other things. So with the time I have and the time I actually want to be working that feels natural for me, what do I actually need to make in terms of money? And then you create a solution for that. So I always tell people, create a solution for what you want. Stop trying to unwant what you want. Stop trying to dissociate from the people, places, and things that really inspire you or pull you in,
Yes. Oh my God. Yes. Because it's like that makes you tired. That makes you tired when you try to unwant what you want so that you don't have to come up with the money or you think that you can't, right? Because it's so painful to want something and think you can't have it. So then you're like, okay, I just won't want this. And then you make your life smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller until you literally have nothing left. And that makes you exhausted and tired. And it's the total opposite of who you are because you're a completely limitless, expansive being. Like, so I love what you just said though. I mean, this past month, I have been working with all kinds of different and talking to all kinds of different coaches. And especially, I've been having a big focus on money. And the way you just put it made more sense to me than anything that's been put to me yet, which is it's not just, okay, yeah, $50,000 would be nice because first of all, that just kind of, you have no emotional connection to that. It's just like, okay, yeah, $50,000. And then it's unrealistic. So you're not really essentially calling that in. But when you actually sit down and first of all, look at what you have and then look at what you want to have and really let yourself play with that. And that's what playing with the universe is, right? It's like, ooh, what would I like to create? What would feel good to me in my life? How do I want my life to look? Like, that's what you're helping me understand. Like, that's what people are talking about when they're like, visualize, like, what do you want? And then actually figure out, like, physically, tangibly, as you're saying, what does that cost, and add it in and like actually make this all an emotional reality. And I think you're touching on something so important too, which is, a lot of us like to be like, oh, it'll work out, or like, we're like, I'm spiritual. I mean, I am guilty of this for sure. Like, I'm spiritual, so I don't really have to care about these earthly things, and it'll all just manifest when it's supposed to, and all that. And it's like, sure,
does anybody really feel good hearing that from themselves or another person? You know what I mean? Like, I totally understand, because I came from that mindset too, from that really like being out of your body, dissociating from your physical needs, like being like, oh yeah, maybe it'll just work out. Or let's be real, do we ever feel good when someone's like, yeah, it's just all happening for a reason? You're like, wait a second, actually, I need to talk about how much this really sucks right now. And then I also need to have someone sit and listen to me and help me make a plan for how it's not going to suck and make the changes that are actually going to make this different. So, like you said, it's we're in the spiritual community still really prone to dissociating from the physical needs of our body, and it's thousands and thousands of years of religion, and probably a lot for us past life stuff, and it just we need to like smack ourselves in the face with the fact that like I can actually smack myself in the face physically. So I have a physical body. It has needs. There's going to be pain, there's difficulties, there's breakups, grief, separation. There's stuff that happens here that does not happen in other realms. Even a lot of us, like, as much as I love going to the angelic realm because you can get some really good info there, they don't have emotions. They don't know what it feels like to be in a physical body. And they even have limitations on what they could tell me about my physical existence here, because they're not living it and they don't know what it feels like. Same thing for any other being you could channel in the universe, is that they are just like us. As much as we think angels are the greatest thing or whatever is the greatest thing, even 11D consciousness, oneness is the greatest thing. Oneness inherently thinks that we don't exist and we aren't valid, because in this 3D reality, everything that we are, individual, solid, dealing with death and endings, all these things, directly defies what it believes itself to be and what it is. So, it's like, just realize that if you can master this realm, it's really fucking weird to be this physical, to be this dense when you're not used to being this dense. But there's so much magic in it, because when you can think something and your life is so designed to accept that thing, manifestation happens instantly when you're doing on a constant basis all the stuff that's the scariest for you to do, like saying that one thing about the weird ghost experience you had, and actually being in a context where people are like, yeah, I feel that too. That's making you get closer to everything else that you want to quote unquote manifest. So, it's removing the limitations. You don't create manifestation and you don't create abundance. You only create limitations. So shadow work and looking and doing all the things that feel scary is how you come into your physical existence here and get to be super cool, powerful, and generous. Power in a sense of sharing and togetherness, not in a sense of controlling or repressing like we've seen it.
Oh, yeah. So awesome. So awesome, Chelsea. Absolutely. Yes. On all of that. Wow. I was just sitting here thinking, like, I love this episode so much. If I were listening to this, which I probably will be listening to this myself, because I do listen to the ones I love sometimes. And I'd probably listen to this a couple times, because I feel like there's so many downloads in here that like you might have to listen a few times to like get them all. So thank you for, being so open and sharing all of your wisdom and insight with us. It's really, really awesome. And, I guess I can't believe this interview flew by. So, so I just have a couple questions for you before we start to wrap up. So, one is, how can people work with you? Since, we're talking about what you're doing, how can people work with you if they want to?
Sure. So, depending on when this is coming out, on a regular basis, I open the doors to my 6-figure Soul Purpose Business Academy. And I really am working with highly sensitive, empathic, visionary, creative people who are ready to come into these practical things and learn all the skills to stop being in hiding, stop feeling like who they are, being so emotional and being so intuitive is wrong in the world, and really step into their power as a leader, as a destined leader for this planet, by forming a business and by starting to get their message out there using social media and all sorts of cool stuff. So I teach all of the strategic and ego busting, energetic stuff to really get yourself in a position where you can have the ultimate freedom, working for yourself, having money so you never think about, whatever you want to go do or buy in your life, whoever you want to be generous with, and then, being able to live a life every single day that's based in your true soul purpose. And I also have a super simple exercise for that. So would love to, if this sounds like you, then we'd really, really love to work on getting you where you're supposed to be in context in society, just starting with you. So I give a lot of free content on my Instagram page, Ecstatic Creator. And I also would love to welcome you to my personal Facebook page where I post all sorts of cool stuff on energy of the day. I still, I don't do readings anymore, but I definitely get a post out there almost every day about if you're an empath, you're connected, you're feeling all the same things. So you can find me within those contexts, and I would love to connect with you there.
Awesome. Beautiful. And I guess last question is going to be, do you have any fun or inspiring stories of synchronicity or manifestation that you think would be fun to share?
Sure. So it was so funny. I was going over this question beforehand because you had sent them to me early. And this is the one that triggered me the most, because the way that most people think about manifestation, and this is like totally not to poo-poo the question or you asking it or anything, but it's my own, stuff that I'm working through at this point, is synchronicity is everywhere. When you're a highly sensitive person, everything's energy, and energy is information. So everything in your physical environment and in even the place that you're moving to next in your day is talking to you. So if you aren't experiencing synchronicity, then you're really missing out, I guess, on the magic of this life. So for me, synchronicities and manifestations happen on an everyday basis, and they look like that weird license plate that goes by with the same word that I just said out of my mouth. Or, on a daily basis, I really propagate that when you're in the right place, which means that you're actually setting yourself up tangibly to be going through a routine that feels like you every day, then you're going to get that like little nudge in every single area, of life. So in particular, the manifestation stories that I have in connection with this question are that most highly sensitive people manifest negative stuff. Like, I'm really good, if I'm not watching myself, that I'll manifest all sorts of crazy like jam ups and problems. Like, I'm like a walking Mercury retrograde. Right? Everything in life is telling me to slow down because I'm like, I don't want to slow down. I have so much to do. I'm in this physical body, but I'm going to push it to its limit. It's like, listen to the negative things you're manifesting just as much as the positive things. I will say that that's the thing that I actually want to share in terms of that, because that's one example for me, is that I always like literally physically trip, or the internet will go out, or something will be happening in my day if I'm not going at my natural pace, which is slower than I want to go, patient, and I think that that's worth sharing over. I could tell you about manifesting, $14,000 to pay off my credit card in full in January, and then manifesting another $16,875 on top of that. It's because I was doing all the scary stuff. It's because I was slowing myself down and doing things really well, going at my own pace to make a video, or like saying the one thing that was really hard for me to say about being an empath, sharing that part of my story about when I awakened when I was 12. And I was starting to be me. I wasn't generalizing myself anymore. So that's a positive manifestation. It all comes from doing the stuff that feels really funky and scary, though.
That resonates with me deeply, deeply. And I've been personally feeling both of those things that you just shared. One, it's interesting. You just shared that about like the pace at which you're going and the sign, the negative stuff that you're manifesting in order to slow down. Cause 2 days ago, for the first time ever, like I never have back problems. And 2 days ago, out of nowhere, my lower back / like hip, just like, I don't even know what happened, but I woke up and I was like, oh my God, I can't walk. Even like, I can't do anything. Like I've never been that way. And I also really love to move my body. Like I love to work out and bike and go to yoga and all the things. And the past few weeks, I've just been on a tear of work, like, cause I'm so passionate about what I'm doing and there's just so much happening. And I'm like, yes. Like I love the momentum. Right. But then right before this weekend, I kept getting this intuition that was like, balance, like pull it back a little bit. You're starting to get into the workaholic zone, like pull it back. And I kind of didn't. Like I actually ended up working this weekend because I'm loving what I'm doing, but I worked this weekend instead of just taking the time for myself, which is what I usually do. And then Sunday, this happened with my back. And I literally was like, okay, well, this could not be more clear. Like I literally actually can't move very much at all. So now I'm sitting inside. It's a beautiful day outside and I could be riding my bike, but I'm sitting inside and I'm getting the message, universe, I got it. And so I totally resonate with that. And I think that that's that is a very good thing to share because it is important to listen to just whatever feedback you're getting, right? Whether it's positive or negative, because it's all feedback for you.
We live in a self-resolving universe. It's not a punishment system. When people talk about this older concept of karma, it's not, it's kind of like very, Abraham Hicks, you are the vortex. That's what they say, is that you're generating all of it. It's not like, there's a greater intelligence. It's within you. So you're part of it and you're generating all the stuff in your day. And it's just trying to get you to do what is the best for you and what does feel natural, which, we have to deal with the fact that we have egos and the ego is this survival thing. So often, especially because we feel so different in this world, you're going to get that signal that brings you back to doing what feels natural for you. Even though your ego is saying, oh my God, this is so scary. It's so scary for me to be me in a world where like everybody else is kind of stuck in, what sex they're having and, what appetite they have for the day. And I'm over here feeling all these other things and no one gets it. And people get it. Put yourself in context. Listen to those things that are, like you said, telling you, because it's a great sense of humor as well as a, self-resolving thing. It's almost like I see sometimes people's higher selves or their spirit guides just like laughing and or shaking their head at like how crazy we are down here running around like, it's this rat race. And it's all happening. It's all happening in the right time if you face your stuff. And you can actually manipulate time and space if you really tune into the stuff that feels scary for you to express. So if you want stuff to happen faster, do the scary thing. If you want to, want to have a balance in life, then don't shove all of your energy into one aspect of life. Even if you were to make a chart of like work, family, friendships, personal care, put that in order. All the activities you do in a day, put them in order and see where your priorities are at. It might scare you. My list when I made it was like my clients were above talking to my family. I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with me? That's what I was acting through without knowing it. And you might be, it's all in what we prioritize in a day, right? So if you're prioritizing, if all the top of your list looks like work, as a human, your body and even your emotions are going, oh my God, I need love and affection. Why am I working so much?
Yeah. Oh, you hit the nail on the head for sure. For sure. And that's like, and oh my God, work is definitely over talking to my family for sure. I mean, that's so sad to say, but like definitely my dad called me today and I was like, sorry, working. And like that felt like a valid excuse for me to just be like, nope, I'll get back to you later. And sometimes it is, but like it was very much like, this is way more important than whatever you have to say, essentially. And it's like, it's my dad. Like this is like a very special human to me. So I think that is a very good exercise to do. And I think I'm going to do that because I do think, balance is everything. And balance is what helps you. Balance is essentially the flow, right? Because like when you're in balance, that's when you're in the flow. When you're out of balance, I think it's kind of hard to be in the flow, right? So
100%. And that looks so different for every person on the planet. So the more you know what individually makes you feel unique, even like soul purpose seems like a big concept. I make it super tangible for people because your soul purpose is the sum of the things you're the most passionate about. Money and time were unlimited, and the things that you like about yourself. And if you get to be those things and do those things every day, and you get super specific about, like for me, it's talking about deep emotions and spiritual experiences that nobody talks about, like sadness and suicide and your deepest desires in tangible form. That's my soul purpose. That's what I'm here to experience. That's what I'm here to help people with. If everybody lives in their soul experience or their soul purpose and they know what tangible activities they have to do to feel that thing, then flow is just that. It's being what is natural for you. And there's going to be somebody else on the planet who's natural at all the things that you maybe think you want to do or that you aren't interested in. You don't have to worry. You can just be you.
That's beautiful. Yep. I'm picking up what you're putting down. And Chelsea, this was super awesome. I'm so happy we connected. Thank you so much for sharing and just for being you and just for, taking the time to come on here. I think this was a super powerful episode. I'm sure everyone listening will agree. Anything else you want to share before we wrap up?
No, I probably dropped a lot of bombs here. So I just want to say thank you for reaching out to me and giving me this platform, because as I continue to help other people get these kinds of platforms where they can talk to more people, where they can spark more conversations, I'm just so happy to continue the domino effect of all of us living in a more generous, kind, connected, and together world where we can accept everybody in their state of being because we accept ourselves in our own essence and state of being. So thank you again. Just thanks for the time and the opportunity to talk. I'm just so happy to be here.
Absolutely. My pleasure. Until next time, sister. That's it for this week's episode. If you're a listener with a story to share and are interested in being featured on a future episode of this special series, you can email me at alexa@positivehead.com. Also, if you're craving more consciousness elevating content, be sure to check out Gaia, which is the go-to source for streaming consciousness content on the web, where you can stream an incredible 7,000 plus exclusive videos covering 5,000 years of wisdom. As you all hear Brandon constantly say, it's a daily conscious effort to maintain an elevated vibration. And if you're looking to journey deep down the rabbit hole to do so, then Gaia is the best place we know of to do it. Period. And you can sign up for your first month for only 99 cents at gaia.com/positivehead. That's spelled GAIA.com/positivehead. Check it out. Otherwise, tune in next Friday for another HeAd Posse episode. And until then, as Brandon always says, journey well.